Yeah, man. What a weird few weeks we had with all this gaming, movie and TV news.
A lot, yeah.
We had so much. So we're gonna go through some of them. I think will be, will lend itself to more conversation than others.
Mhm.
But one quick one, Sonic 2 film is confirmed for April 8th, 2022. All we got was a little teaser of the title with Sonic running across in his traditional Sega Genesis style, but with a little bit of tail
Yep.
action going on there.
On that logo,
So
right? So that's confirmed. That's cool.
yeah, I'm
Did you
gonna
guys like
bet
the
you
first
anything we're
one?
gonna get. I thought it was fun. I didn't
Yeah,
think it
me
was
too.
I
amazing
haven't
or
seen it
good by
yet.
any means, but it was a
It
fun
was
kids movie.
it was better than it had any reason to be.
Yeah, I agree. It was
Yeah.
better than it really should have been,
Yeah.
especially considering what it looked like when it first was revealed. So
Which
God.
and I say that completely saying that this is not an amazing film. But this is
No,
something
no,
that
no.
if you and your friends are just like sitting around having a couple of beers one night, and you're just like, hey, let's just put on something stupid. Like, yeah, we'll
yeah,
put on this.
After 8 hours a day of Blue's Clues and Jake and the Neverland Pirates, this game was a gem. So I think my view of movies has been skewed a bit. But no, I'm looking forward to that. I'll definitely watch it. It's now free to watch on Amazon Prime, by the way.
yeah,
So if
that's
you have
cool.
that, you can watch it on there. Out of nowhere, one of the most random and weird things to happen was Ratchet and Clank's short film was randomly shadow dropped. I haven't watched this. Did you?
No, I haven't. I know it was in
No.
Canada specifically where it aired. I think it's only like 23 minutes long, but it's, it kind of is a precursor story to Rift Apart. It seems like
Interesting.
this was meant to tie in with that. And yeah, it's just a really bizarre thing. Like it almost
Was
seemed
it
like a
viral
mistake
marketing
happened, or
gone wrong, or
I don't know. I don't know. I want to watch it. I heard it actually was pretty good, and
okay?
I know that the movie that came out wasn't great. So
Right?
for
Yeah,
people to
I
say that
didn't
this
even
was actually
finish
pretty
watching it.
solid, yeah, that's a good sign. Maybe means that they've got a good writer on the game for Rift Apart, and that this is going to be a promising story with some great humor and all that. So
Well, the movie failed because it was supposed to just be cutscenes from Ratchet and Clank the remake,
yeah,
and that's the main reason why that movie didn't succeed, because you had to replace all of the gaming parts with trying to put in scenes to kind of get that stuff to move
Bridge it
along.
together. Yep.
yeah,
So that was
yeah, for
so
sure.
that was the main problem. When you're actually like going through and you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna do a tight 23-minute uh
Yep.
like little short movie, then like that's gonna obviously be much more superior than what they
Yeah.
were trying to do with the movie.
That's true. That's a good point.
Another random that I'd never saw yet was the Twisted Metal TV series rumors that popped up again. This time with Anthony Mackie being offered the lead role as John, who I'm not really sure who John would be.
Probably
Uh,
like a Mortal Kombat type situation where it's like a new character introduced into the
Maybe, or it
world.
could be like the origin story of somebody.
Maybe it's a
Audience
Um,
possibility.
very good.
but what's also more bizarre is that Will Arnett offered the voice of Sweet Tooth. I, I don't even know. There's only one other movie that's more bizarre, and that's coming up later. But I just don't even get this one. The synopsis is, quote, high octane action comedy circling around an outsider trying to better his own life. The protagonist has to deliver a mysterious package across a post-apocalyptic wasteland alongside a trigger-happy car thief.
So it
This
definitely
is
seems to go more comedic than people maybe expected with this.
Yeah, this is going to be a very loose interpretation of uh, Twisted Metal, I think. But we'll see what happens. I don't
Yeah,
even know what to think.
PlayStation Productions. I'm pretty sure this is the first one from PlayStation
Yeah,
Productions. So let's hope it
Weird.
does well.
we'll see. In kind of very frustrating news, to those of you who love and crave those insider leaks and can't get enough of them, you are to blame for Legend of Zelda being canceled on Netflix. Supposedly, the Legend of Zelda project that Netflix was in talks of working on was never supposed to have been announced, and the person that leaked it was likely the main reason that is not going to happen anymore. So thank you,
As well as Star Fox
Dick.
as well. They also
Star
canceled
Fox,
Star Fox,
interesting.
which nobody even knew about. Nobody even knew a Star Fox series was in production. They canceled that with The Legend of Zelda because of The Legend of Zelda's leaks. It's the most Nintendo thing ever, as we talked about, Vince, on
Yep.
Lights Up. Just
Yep.
the most Nintendo thing I've ever heard, and it pisses me off to the nth degree that,
Yep.
that we lost out on a Legend of Zelda live action series because of leaks. Like, who gives a crap?
It looks like I
What?
gotta wait for another 5 years for that dude to put out another episode of A Fox in Space. I mean, jeez.
Unbelievable, man. Nintendo needs to get their heads out of their asses. They're just so in the past with some of this shit. It really bothers me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
very.
very frustrating when you want more content, like more like different content with these characters and all these IPs that they own, and they don't do anything with any of them, and that
Yeah.
drives me up a wall.
I think they got so spooked by Mario, Super Mario Brothers
And
when it
like,
came out in the
remember the
90s.
Zelda cartoon too?
Yeah, they really did not do well with those. So I think they got spooked like forever now, potentially.
And Other M didn't really do any favors for them either, and that was like one of their first like original IPs that they went like very narrative based there.
And like outsourced and giving it to other people, and that's what they did with Mario Brothers. They gave it to this team that did something really unique and interesting with it. I'll say with the movie, but man, it's a little too far, right? A
Way
little
to go,
too
watch
Bob
unique.
Hoskins.
You should watch
drunk
that Honest
asshole.
trailer for that movie. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But Mike, keep going.
Yes, I don't know what even this movie is anymore, but Jack Black, amongst others, has joined the cast of the Borderlands film as Claptrap. What was
I
very
can see
entertaining
this.
about this is, again, the one guy I watched stream, we were actually discussing, in the midst of discussing casting for Borderlands, because just before we were talking about Kevin Hart being Roland, which I don't get that either. And the suggestion by myself and somebody else at the same time was that Jack Black should have been Crazy Earl, and then a couple hours later, he gets cast as Claptrap. I don't get this movie. I don't know what they're doing.
It's got to. I mean, granted, like some of these choices for certain characters is bizarre, but it's a pretty crazy cast. I mean,
cast.
you've got
Doesn't
Kate
mean anything.
Blanchett, you got
That's
Kevin Hart,
jack
you've
shit.
got Jack Black, you've got Jamie Lee Curtis as well. Like this is
Yeah,
kind of
but-
wild.
I don't know, dude. It's like Danny just brought up. Like they're bringing Tiny Tina is now suddenly Lilith's daughter.
Yeah,
Like,
I did see
like-
that.
Are you
Now,
kidding me?
well, hold on a sec though. I
No,
thought that
I'm
was
serious.
the
That is a
leaked
plot
script that has now been confirmed to be false. Is that not
I-
true?
I don't know if it's confirmed false, but just everything
I
about
think
this.
that might
it
be
just,
false.
This all just feels like Randy is somehow a reason for this. Randall is somehow screwing with this show. He's
And I
getting
don't know. I don't get it.
the big magician that he is somehow swiping all of our expectations and throwing it
Big
against the wall.
magician fucking comes out.
Well,
this
let's move on to more exciting reveals.
Yes.
We got a trailer up on screen right now.
Yeah, man, what a special segment of my week this was. Out of nowhere, the Mortal Kombat trailer comes on Thursday, and did it do nothing but excite me.
A lot of people, yeah.
I was not expecting this. I had such low zero expectations for this movie. And
Even with the screenshots.
even with the screen, it doesn't mean jack. They really don't anymore. Screenshots can only say so much, but this trailer really, to me, shows that this guy is taking things very seriously.
Especially his commentary on the trailer, if you listen to
Right,
it.
well,
Really strong.
right, yeah. And not only that, like apparently he was crying for how happy he was at
Mhm.
people's reception to it, because he loves this franchise so much, and this was like a dream project for him.
Yeah, and he has a
Um,
knowledge and a respect of the lore that I didn't even realize, and it's kind of cool to see that that's being shown in this trailer. Like, there's a lot of speculation happening on what certain things mean and how it's going to piece together. Even speculation, I don't want to say what it is because I think it might spoil people, even though it is speculation, but on who Cole might be, more than
Right.
just your surrogate character. Like, there's actually some speculation that he might be more than just a surrogate, and I can believe it. And it sounds really cool. The concepts that are coming into play here, if they go that direction, I don't think this is going to be a great movie. Don't get me wrong. I don't think this is going to get like 80, 90% of Rotten Tomatoes, but really all it's got to do is be positive on Rotten Tomatoes, and that puts it in the higher echelon of video game movies. The highest ever right now is Angry Birds 2. Can this beat Angry Birds 2? What do you guys think? 73.
Yes.
Yes.
I can see this
I think so.
easily getting a 75 average.
Yeah, I think so too. Like mid 70s, I think could happen with this, and I think we might have the highest rated video game movie ever. with Mortal Kombat, which
Absolutely.
makes sense that it would happen this way, right? Because Mortal Kombat kind of started it all in 1995 with one of the better video
It
game
all
movies, I
began
would
in
argue.
'95.
Like, it actually was not a bad video game movie from Paul W.S. Anderson,
Right.
who otherwise sucks. But yeah, I actually enjoyed the comedic elements of that. And you can see a little bit of that comedy coming through, especially in the final Kano scene of this trailer. So I'm
Yo,
optimistic
that
for
guy
this.
has an awesome accent for this too. Man,
Yeah.
I'm very hype on this. So
I'm
hopefully we'll
suddenly
see.
like very very upset that he didn't get a chance to play Captain Boomerang because
Yeah,
like
I can
Yeah,
see that,
right?
right?
he's so much better than Jai Courtney.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But so
wow.
the
Mhm.
biggest, the
So
biggest we got to get to because we need time for
there
this.
is. Yes. So we now have our cast for the Last of Us HBO series. We have Bella Ramsey, who was from Game of Thrones fame
And
as Ellie,
Hilda, never
and
forget Hilda.
Hilda. I'm sorry,
So
the
good.
voice
I
of
love
Hilda,
Hilda.
probably the best voice, the best role. I love that show.
Yeah, it's great.
Um, and the big one of them all, Pedro Pascal as Joel.
Hmm.
Man, what a casting! I never would have seen Pedro.
That I
Had
think
it
is what's so cool about it, right? Is
said
there's
right.
so much, speculation. There's so much fan casting on Joel for The Last of Us, and I don't think I saw anybody ever say Pedro Pascal. But now that we've seen it, and we've seen mock-ups, as we're going to see on screen in a moment, I have some mock-ups. It's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I can see this.
You know
Yeah,
what? I will honestly say I don't think he would be, look wise, visual wise, he is not who I would go to normally. But I think his presence, his demeanor, the delivery of his lines, I think I can 100% see him in the role. Had it not been for the Mandalorian, I don't think I would have been as hyped on it as other people are. But seeing how he can handle serious, intense situations like that, versus how he was as Oberyn, I'm much more reassured.
Mm-hmm. Goes to King Kurt in the chat. He says, "I don't need this show." I agree to a certain
Yeah,
extent. I
that's
agree,
it.
yeah.
but at the same time, we said the exact same thing when The Last of Us Part Two was announced. We don't need this, and I mean, in my opinion, it's one of the best games ever made. So,
And I still think that we didn't need The Last of Us too. So I'm still with you, Kurt.
yes, I can get that, but I think you cannot argue the quality and the passion and work that went into The Last of Us Part Two, and I feel like we're gonna get that with this too. I think we're getting a very passionate team that wants to make the first fantastic television series based on a video game. Vince, what do you think? I mean, you got the Chernobyl team working on this. Chernobyl's like one of the best miniseries I've seen ever. Like, don't you think we've got a lot of reason to be optimistic for this?
Absolutely. I think we do. I mean, it just feels like, from even from like we were originally hearing the announcements on that, it was a trickle of stuff. We didn't get like, in comparison, like the Uncharted movie in a way. You know how I kind of just felt like that was like all like everything just was kind of like just showing up and it was like, this is what we're doing. This has been pretty standard. Like, I mean, we're just now getting casting. It tells me that they're taking their time with this. I think it's only a good thing, you know?
Yeah,
And
for sure. I watched Prospect this week. Available on Netflix. Everybody should watch it if you want to get an idea of what Pedro Pascal can be like in that kind of role, post-apocalyptic in a way. It's actually a far-off future sci-fi, but they are traveling to a planet in order to harvest these gems out of these alien creatures, and things go to shit, and he gets tagged up with this young girl, and he has a similar demeanor in that, and even a similar accent in that to Joel. I really recommend everybody watch it if you're nervous about Pedro Pascal as Joel, because after watching that movie, I'm like, yep, I'm in. I get it. I 100% get it now why they went with him. I wouldn't be surprised if they watched that movie and were like, yep, this is who we're going with for Joel. He's a great actor. He really is.
Yeah, it seems like Pedro is slowly starting to become like the new nerd king. Like,
Yeah,
it
a little
seems like
bit.
he's going to get like all the nerd roles. Like, the only one who's going to be possibly close to him is now going to be Oscar Isaac.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, for sure.
With him getting Snake. So it's going to be. Look, I think he's going to be great. Like you guys said, he wasn't my first choice. I thought it was going to be John Hamm. But,
Really, John Hamm, interesting
I thought
choice.
John Hamm as Joel, I think, would have worked pretty well.
I wouldn't be against it. I love John Hamm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't have been against that.
but yeah, I'm looking forward to at least seeing some of the first scenes from it, because I like Pedro. I like to see him do well. All the things to Pedro. Give him everything.
We haven't really talked a lot about Bella Ramsey. I think she's getting more backlash actually than Pedro Pascal is, unfortunately, because people don't really know her very much.
But
she
I
really
think
was
that's
just
what
this.
you need, though. You
Yeah.
need somebody who's not as well known in that role, especially because she's got to play a young kid. Like, I don't know how many young actresses that you can think of who you're like, oh yeah, that's got to be Ellie.
Yeah. I see it myself. She's a great little actress, first off. I'm curious to see what her accent's going to be like because she is British, so I'm curious to see how she's going to do her American accent. But I think she has the look, she has the charm, she has the spunk and all that, as we saw in Game of Thrones. And here's a good little mock-up here from Alice, and I'll see her full name, the artist, in a moment when we see Joel as well. But I see it there. I definitely do see Ellie in that artwork. It's a great little mock-up here, and wait until you see Joel right now as well. Alice XZ. Credit to Alice XZ. Look at this mock-up of Joel here. I think this is it, man. That's the money shot. Like that I see Joel there.
And
I really do.
to Kurt's worry about it not transferring well, I mean, dude, all they got to do is just copy The Walking Dead. That's really all they got to do. Just copy The Walking Dead, pretty much beat for beat. You know, the only difference is that you're dealing with cordyceps zombies, and but like all the human interactions with all the humans being their worst possible selves at all times, it's just going to be a hyper focused on two specific characters, as opposed to it being this large cast of people who are constantly dying or not dying.
I actually think that this will be fine as a movie. I just don't think we need it. I think the problem is that if it's a series, they might draw out things that don't need to be drawn out. But the benefit is now that we've gotten two, they can actually draw out things in a way that will just expand the story in the proper way.
In my opinion, they do 2 seasons for part 1 and they do 2 seasons for part 2. And I do think that you develop the world a little bit more and develop characters outside of Joel and Ellie because it's a TV series. And I do think that you need a little bit outside just those two in a TV series. And I don't know if that means the Fireflies or what, but I'm optimistic because it's a Chernobyl team. And what they did with it just fleshing out that entire disaster, I kind of expect that for the cordyceps outbreak. Like, what does this mean on a government level? And like all these different things I think that they could go into if they want to. I'm not sure how they're going to make it flow into Joel and Ellie's storyline, but I'm curious to see if they try to build out the world and the situation in a way that didn't make sense to do in the game. You're playing as Joel. You're going through the entire thing with Ellie. There's no reason really to switch off to other characters or anything like that in the game. So it makes sense that went that way and that they can kind of capitalize on that with a TV series for us that know the story and also for people that have no idea about The Last of Us. And I think that's what this is really targeted for more than anybody else is there's a lot of people that did not get to enjoy such a great story coming from a video game. People just don't play video games, and that's what this is all about here. So I'm very, very excited. I don't know. I think this is probably the most excited I am for any of the video game adaptations right now, and that even includes Metal Gear Solid myself. What do you guys think? What's your most anticipated?
I mean, right now, because we actually have a trailer, it's Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat's definitely. I'm hyped, man. That's April. That's not that far away at all. That's
Yeah,
really
it's
exciting.
right around the corner.